Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Wahlberg, your podcast performance coach, with another actionable tip so you can grow your authority and convert with ease. Today's tip is how to get 30,000 downloads in 30 days. One of my clients had an amazing podcast launch recently. She got 30,000 downloads in 30 days. Now, this is pretty impressive. When you consider the average number of downloads per episode for a podcaster is around that 150 mark in 30 days. So if you're doing better than 150 downloads per episode in a month, you're above average. Great job. Like, seriously. You should be very proud of that. These numbers, by the way, are from the podcast host Libsyn. They put these numbers out every month or so. Now, 30,000 downloads in 30 days is impressive, and it is worth talking about. I'm going to tell you how she did it in just a minute, but I got to say, the reason I'm doing this episode is because so many people that I talk to in my free 15-minute coaching call, when I ask them, what do they want from their podcast? Without fail, they say, big download numbers. Of course, Tim, what else would I want? All right, spoiler alert. This is usually even before they've figured out why they're even podcasting, but I'll talk more about that in a second. First, let me tell you about Jayna Marie. She hosts a podcast called Big Lash Energy. I was so impressed with what she did with her recent podcast launch that I had to interview her as a case study. You can see the full-length interview on YouTube. It's only about 15 minutes long. The link is in the show notes. But today, what I want to share are the keys to her big launch. Now, don't get discouraged if you think this doesn't pertain to you. Stay with me, especially if you're podcasting for your business or to grow your authority in your niche. Okay, so the top 3 things that she did resulting in huge downloads in her first month of her podcast are, number 1, have and serve an existing fan base. I'll tell you the truth. Jayna Marie came in hot. She had a really large following on social media. I'm talking nearly 25,000 followers on Instagram. And this was an engaged following. They are as active as she is, and they're dialed in. She knows exactly who she's talking to and what they want from her. So if you don't have a big audience to start, don't worry about it, but start building it now. Get that email list of yours growing. Get people following you and opting in. You do that by consistently serving mad value to your audience and other people's audiences. Number 2, do your research and create a plan. Finding out how podcasting really works. Talking to some podcast coaches. Jayna Marie did just this, and she'll tell you this in the YouTube interview. I've talked before about having a podcast launch party, but what Jayna did in the way of planning, prep, and building the hype was absolutely over the top awesome. She put in the work. And she had all this planned well before we even had her first episode edited. And number 3, have a kick-ass quality sounding trailer. Jayna understood that you only get one shot to make that first impression. So the pressure was on to create something that felt authentically her, that spoke directly to her audience, and left them wanting more. It took some time, but we didn't stop working and tweaking it until we knew it was right. Do this, and your listeners can't help but hit the follow or subscribe button. Again, number 1, have and serve an existing fan base. Number 2, do your research and create a plan. And number 3, have a kick-ass trailer. So you may be thinking you've just heard how Jayna Marie has this amazing first month of her podcast, and she kind of had all the right things in all the right places before she started her show. You might also be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have 25,000 followers like Jayna does. I don't have a huge engaged network community like Jayna does. How am I supposed to replicate what she did? Well, okay, fair enough, yes. But here's the truth. Maybe you don't need to. Before you worry about getting 30,000 downloads in 30 days, think to yourself, how many downloads do I really need? And are downloads even the right metric for me to be watching? If you're podcasting for your business, it may not be the number of your downloads that you need to really worry about. Think about your podcast and the goals that you're setting with your podcast. Do you need those downloads, or do you need people joining your list? Do you need people booking a call to talk to you? Do you need to be nurturing your existing following into taking the next step with you? I've helped many podcasters that don't get near 30,000 downloads in a month, and it still helps them grow their authority. It still serves their audience, and it still serves their business by steadily growing it over the years. Their show consistently delivers leads for their business, and they do it by consistently delivering great content, serving their community, and helping their ideal customer. These clients are very happy, even though they don't get 30,000 downloads in 30 days, because they couldn't handle that many clients anyway. Okay, so there are still some very valuable tips that Jayna shares in my YouTube interview with her that are still relevant, even if you've already launched your podcast. And if you are thinking about launching a show, then you absolutely need to check it out. She talks about the hype that she created and how to really use the social media machine. This is one marketing strategy that you can learn a lot from. In the show notes are links to the YouTube interview I did with Jayna, also the link to her show, Big Lash Energy, and her website. Make sure you subscribe. And if you haven't already, subscribe or follow to my show, Just One Tip from Your Podcast Performance Coach. Do that right now too. Podcasting for your business, if done right, with a plan and purpose, can absolutely become an extremely effective marketing tool that can benefit your business for years to come. And I hope that's just the tip you need. If you're thinking about podcasting for your business, my podcast, Just One Tip, is loaded with actionable to-dos. And they're just 5-minute episodes. This is where Jayna started her research. So if you're serious about creating a podcast that showcases you as an authority, let's develop it together. Step 1 is to book your free 15-minute coaching call. The link is in the show notes. Do it now. Or you can book your free 15-minute coaching call at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Wahlberg. See ya.